Hey, this is Jonas, I'm one of the developers of Islanders, and here's everything you need to know about our game condensed into a hopefully very short and interesting video. Islanders is a minimalist strategy game about building cities on beautiful islands. What we wanted to create is a builder game that can be enjoyed and played by almost anybody. The game will cost $5 on launch and it will come out April 4th, depending on when you watch this video. It might already be out. Islanders is a high score game where you gain points by placing buildings, and when you place a building you see a big number on top of it showing you how many points you'll get for placing it here. The amount of points you get for placing a building depends on its surroundings. A lumberjack, for example, earns 1 point for every tree in range, but loses 6 points for every other lumberjack in range. And when placing a building, the small numbers show you exactly where your points are coming from. The only resource in Islanders are the buildings in your inventory. You lose the game when you run out of buildings, or put differently, when your inventory is empty. Your building inventory gets a refill every time you reach a certain score. It's very simple, and the amount of points you need to collect in order to get a new set of buildings is displayed in the bottom left corner. Every time you get a set of new buildings, you can choose between 2 options, and whenever you decide for one option, the pack will still contain a couple of the buildings you chose earlier. So it's basically like deck building, but with buildings. There are 30 different types of buildings in Islanders. Every building has a different range and different structures it wants to be close to. Islanders is a very casual game, but it also offers quite a bit of depth for those who are looking for a greater challenge. Also, islands are procedurally generated, so you'll never see the same island twice. You can also win a round by reaching a certain score. The reward for winning a round is that you can no longer lose and that you'll get another shot on the next island. You can travel to the next island as soon as the button in the bottom right corner is completely filled up, and you simply fill it up by gaining points. Please note that once you leave an island, you're no longer able to go back to the previous one. The first couple of islands are quite easy to beat, but the further you go, the harder it'll get. You can quit the game at any time as it saves your progress automatically. Loading times are not very long and are mostly used to generate the islands, so you can basically leave and come back whenever you want. We are a small team consisting of 3 people, Friedemann, Paul, and me, Jonas. The game was made within 4 months as a part of our game design studies at HTW Berlin, and that's also where we met each other. During our studies, we received a ton of useful feedback from our fellow students and professors. Without their help, the game wouldn't be what it is now. A couple of fun facts. Instead of Islanders, we almost made a game about rafting. Now that I look at it, it still looks kind of fun. And when we got started working on Islanders, we wanted it to be a 2D game. Also, we made a research trip to the English Garden. I'm not sure how big the impact of that was, but I think I can see a bit of Islanders in here. The game engine we used both for prototyping as well as for making the final game is Unity 3D, and for creating the models we used Blender. One thing we've been asked quite a bit already is whether we'll bring this game to other platforms than PC. The answer is we'd love to bring the game to other platforms like the Switch or to mobile, but unfortunately we're a small team and we do not know if we'll have the resources to make it happen. There are a couple more interesting things about the gameplay as well. You can hover over a building in your inventory to see which other buildings it benefits from. Every building gets a score bonus from having the monument within its range, and there's 1 monument on every island. Some buildings also have a base value. The field, for example, grants you a couple of points even if there's absolutely nothing within its range. And negative base values are possible as well. The temple gives minus 75 points by default, for example. But placing it close to your city buildings quickly brings that into the positives. Also, not every building can be placed on every surface. Sand pits need to be placed on sand, masons on stone, fields need to be built on grass, and the fissure can only be placed on water. You're not able to build fields on winter islands. And what I think is cool as well is that Islanders can be played at any pace you want. Your play session can take minutes or hours. You decide. It is possible to play the game without touching the keyboard, but Islanders also supports keyboard hotkeys and it is also possible to rebind them. One thing that's also kind of funny is that people playing Islanders for the first time usually drag buildings across the entire map multiple times to see where they get the most points. That is very normal, but after a while you'll try fewer and fewer positions, you know what works and what doesn't. And to maximize your points you also have to think about the buildings you're gonna place in the future. It is not enough to just think about what gives you the most points now. The order you place your buildings in can make quite a big difference as well. The tower, for example, gives you 1 point for every building in range, so the later you place it, the more points you'll usually get. Some islands contain a gold patch. The gold mine and the jewelry should be placed next to that, as that gives them a big bonus. Another one of my favorite buildings is the shaman. It gets points for nearby flowers, so yes, all of these little flowers you see here basically have a gameplay purpose as well, and there are certain late game buildings that allow you to expand the space available to you, wooden platforms that can be placed on walls, and massive stone structures you can build on. Sometimes you're even required to build your entire city on water. Another question I got from my YouTube community is, how did I manage to work on 2 games at once? The answer is I didn't. We made Islanders first, and only after that did I get serious about making Will You Snail. And you remember that's about the time when I started my daily live streams. So no, I did not make 2 games at once. And will we add more content to Islanders in the future? The answer is maybe. We definitely want to, but we'd rather not promise anything. If you don't like the game the way it is now, then please don't buy it. If you think you might enjoy Islanders and it's worth $5, you can check it out on Steam. The link for that is in the description. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next one.